I know we want to talk a bit now about, we've got all these rules kind of in our head. How can we take action to make sure that we're complying with the rules? And we wanted to address your compliance plan next. And before, arguably, when HIPAA first came along 10 years ago, everybody said, what do we do? What do we do? And we created a compliance plan and a notice of privacy practices and a business associate agreement. And after the 2013 law, we are now required to look at those three things and say, do we need to make any updates to our compliance plan? Do we need to make any updates to our business associate agreement? Do we need to make any updates to our notice of privacy practices? And the answer is yes. We are required now under this new HIPAA omnibus to go back, dust off this stuff, and make it up to date. And that's really, I think, the gist of our presentation today is that if you've got a HIPAA compliance plan and all these compliance issues and documents hanging around your office, well, if you haven't updated them consistent with the 2013 omnibus, you need to. So what's involved? Well, one thing we might want to look at, we need to consider a change in compliance officials. I mean, do you have a a privacy officer or a security officer in place? Make sure that you do. Do we need to do a change in computer operating systems? And let's say you've got a new, Windows 10. Is that something that's going to have to require a security analysis to determine if your protected health information going through this new operating system is consistent? What about your IT vendors? Well, we want to take a look at those and see whether or not we've had some change. If so, do we have a business associate agreement with them? Are there changes in the law? Obviously, we need to consider. For example, there's some new provisions that your business associate agreements should have contained by, I think, the end of 2014. So we're kind of 2 years late on that. And your notice of privacy practices need to be updated and tweaked. Are there any disclosures related to privacy or security breaches? And that's pretty important, the privacy and security breaches, and I think we'll talk more about that in another program because that has some very significant issues. I mean, just think about Target when their consumer payment system got hacked and the liability that they had. Well, what happens if we lose a laptop or our electronic health record system gets hacked? What are our obligations and what are the costs and remedial actions we have to take? So, keep that in the back of your mind. Think about what you need to do in order to keep your HIPAA issues up to date and consistent with the new law. And Jason, I think you'll talk a bit about some training issues.